Presentation creation. Students create technology-rich presentations by completing high-quality work and making improvements as needed before the final production process. The multimedia-rich projects students create can be published online with other members of the class. Members of the larger global community can use the commenting skills to discuss the content of the presentation. Now, for a long time, this was about the only game in town where people made PowerPoint slides, and it's probably one of the most abused pieces of software out there. And you have to be so careful because PowerPoint can very quickly go to PowerPointless if we add too many of what I like to call the bells and whistles. In the Mac world, Keynote's been around for a long time, and they're very similar, and it is very easy to go between the two. So these have been the giants. You have your PowerPoints and you have your Keynotes. Those have been the big ones for years and years and years. But there's some new ones in town, and we're going to talk about Google Presentation. Now, specifically, this is part of Google Drive. This is the presentation part of it. But what's so different about it is people can collaboratively create these presentations wherever they are in the world on whatever device can get them on the internet. And so it opens up a lot of possibilities for collaboration. So Google Presentation, part of Drive. You open it up, and the first thing, very PowerPoint and Keynote-like, it asks you what your theme is. And there's a lot of themes to pick from. When I do my presentations, I tend to do not use a theme at all. And I like the look and feel of just no theme. Pretty soon, you can walk through a conference hall and you go, oh, yep, there's that PowerPoint background, that's that Keynote. You can start to pick them out. So go ahead and get started. If you have had experience with Keynote or PowerPoint, your move to Google Drive will be no problem at all, because as you can see, it looks very similar to what you've experienced in the past. Now, you don't have as many choices in your formatting, but here are the few that Google Drive has and the presentation piece. And again, I always pick blank whenever I can. This is great. Images and clip art in PowerPoint, gets old. They all start to look the same. But this was interesting. Google purchased images from Life magazine, but they recently have added this stock images. And there's great stuff in there. And it's all licensed to be used commercially, so you don't have to worry about it, that you are violating copyright, which is super. Now, after selecting stock images, I just put in sunset, and I was able to get, as you can see, some beautiful images. But the key is that these are licensed for commercial reuse and modification. So that anybody can use these images, which is great. Now, just because they're licensed under commercial doesn't mean that something inappropriate might happen. Whenever you search for images on the internet, that can happen. So you do still have to be very careful. But this is a really rich collection of images. I was very impressed. Now, you can go ahead and comment. You can do all different things within Google Drive about this presentation. You can put in videos, word art, lines, shapes, tables. I didn't play with too much, but you can go ahead and do that. So I have that beautiful sunset picture. I could, if I needed to, insert a text box to put some words over that. Commenting. This goes all the way through all of the applications in Google Drive. A great way for it to have students working together to collaboratively work on the process. And if there were multiple comments, you would go ahead and see them, see the students' kind of trail of their collaboration. Just because they give you the option to use all of these wonderful things doesn't mean you should use it. Actually, some of the books on presentation design say don't use transitions, but the one rule that I have, especially when I work with students, is pick one type of transition and stick with it all the way through, because if not, I find it's very distracting when you're giving the presentation. One minute it's flipping this way and then it's flipping this way. So less is more, everybody. I don't think I could say that enough with presentation software. Sharing settings. We've reviewed this in a number of modules about how Google Drive shares things. But as you can see from this screenshot, I've left this one private. And so that way, if I was working with somebody, they wouldn't be able to edit it. So you have to make sure if it's just read-only, like this would be, then that's okay. But if you want people working together, you have to set that privacy. Now, this was interesting, and I thought, oh, this would be great with students. You can, present from the beginning, present in a new window, but present with the speaker notes. You can put your speaker notes in. So what we want to do and are thinking about creating presentations, less on the screen, less text, and more focused presentation. So put the words in the speaker note and stick with just real powerful images. Now, look on the left where you see my little thumbnails, they're called, of my slides. I like to use really bold, strong images, and I bleed them out to the edge of the slide. I like that better, and it's just preference, but I like that better than having a border around there. I think visually, especially when you're in full screen mode, when you're doing the presentation, I think this looks very rich. You can see I put the speaker notes at the bottom, and that way, when I present, obviously the audience doesn't see the speaker notes, but I can have my guided discussion points. This was interesting. This was new to me, and I've worked with Google Drive pretty extensively, but this is a different kind of screen than I'd ever worked with before. So publishing to the web. So once you and your students, you collaborate, get the presentation done, then you can go ahead and publish it. Well, every document that is created through Google Drive has its own unique web address, and your presentation is exactly the same. The one thing that I thought was interesting was the embed code. Now, when you hear that term embed, what that means is it actually lives on the servers of Google, but you copy that code, you put it on your website, and it looks like the presentation is playing directly from your website, but it's actually reaching back into Google, and it's like a sophisticated hyperlink. That's what it is. And you can set your different presentation size. I thought this next part was really important to point out. Automatically advance your presentation every 3 seconds. So you have to make sure that you do that, or you pick a different time. I thought, okay, this is really important to notice at this point, because if not, you publish it, you send the link to somebody, and they'd be like racing through your presentation. So just know that that's there in the publish link. Now, we've talked about PowerPoint, we've talked about Keynote, we've talked about Google Drive presentation, and now I wanted to add in a few other ways that you can do presentations. And hands down right now, this is my favorite way. This is an app that is on my iPad. I make my slides in the app, and then I export them, and they come out as PowerPoint slides. But they come out as great. They come out as PowerPoint slides, but you can't make any changes. It really comes out as a graphic that is sized perfectly for PowerPoint is what it really does. But here's an example of one that I've made, and you can see a beautiful, powerful picture bled to the edges and just 2 lines for text. That's it. This has forced me, by using this app, it has forced me to really summarize the key words that I want on the screen, and then I put the details that I need in my speaker notes. Less is more. I have not put a bullet point in any presentation for over a year. I've been really using these bold images, less text, and the presentations look visually stunning. This is another one called Slideshare. It's been around a long time, but this is a great way. It's a website that you can upload your presentations that you made, make them public, make them private, or only to a select group. So you can go ahead and do all of that right in Slideshare. Brainshark is a very interesting site. I'm doing a lot of investigation on. You can go ahead and buy different packages, different services, and you can create very simple presentations, or it can be very complex. And there can be some sharing, so you can do things remotely. I have to go in a little bit more detail into this. There's Brainshark, and there is also Slideshark, where they are the same company, and you can go ahead and create your presentations, go on the iPad, your phone, and so on and so forth. I thought this is really great. Then I was looking around a little bit, and I also found this, which is Team Edition. And I kind of stood back a minute, expensive Team Edition. And I thought, as I looked at that, I don't know what benefits I'd have, where Google Drive, free, this, not so much. So might need to go a little deeper, investigate a little bit more. Prezi. Prezi is one that a lot of people use for their presentations, and it's less linear. You can kind of fly around. I have a hard time with Prezi because I tend to go too fast, and I almost get motion sickness. But that's just me with Prezi. There's a lot of great graphics built into Prezi, some real design for the non-designer, because I'm not a designer. I'm a teacher, and so there's some great things in Prezi that you might find of interest. So you can see we just scratched the surface of a few ways that you can make presentations. Thanks.